having remark. Thank you also to the speakers, Pak Nicolai, Manie, and also Ibu Dr. Yuni Sari from Airlangga University. As we've seen today, pandemic is like having a coin that have two faces. In one side, we have the dark side, of course, the economic conditions and everything stopped because of the lockdown. But on the other side, some people see an opportunity that this pandemic have spurs or induce the use of technology even faster than we could have imagined, that this will go as fast as we see today. We don't actually thought that the use of technology in higher education will be very massive, like what we have seen during this pandemic. Like what we have done this afternoon in this room, we are just using a new technology of camera which can detect voice. So the camera follow the voice compared to the common camera that cannot detect voice. So this is one example how we can actually use technology more in our higher education program. But of course, there are pitfalls, challenges in using technology during classroom discussion or providing materials. So today I think we have all the experts. Ibu Dr. Yuni Sari and Pak Nicolai Manie will give us their thought, their comments, inputs, and perhaps we can learn from them how we tackle those pitfalls. I think that's, without further delay, I think we all will have an area of studies. I think that's all I can, my welcoming remarks. Thank you very much and keep safe and healthy, everyone.
Thank you, Bapak Iman Prihandono. Now I would like to invite Professor Awe Heringa, Program Director of LEAP OKP from the Faculty of Law, Maastricht University. Professor Heringa, time is yours.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you very much, Mr. Dean, for welcoming us. I don't think I have very much to add. Sure that education, and for my context, that is legal education, but education in general is going to benefit from everything that technology can offer us. So it's time to, I think, to consider what it does offer to us, to avoid mistakes and to learn from each other and to try to work together to best practices. And I hope this webinar is going to help. We have two wonderful speakers, so I look forward to listening to them. And I don't want to bore you with listening to me because I'm not an expert and they are. So thank you very much for being here with us. And let's listen to the two speakers and then have the wonderful discussion afterwards where we can all share our best experiences. Thank you very much. And I wish you a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you, Professor Heringa. Now, before we start with the first speaker, I would like to say hello to Bapak Radian Sarmak Salman. He is the Program Director of LEAP OKP from the Faculty of Law, Universitas Airlangga. Pak Radian, hi.
Yeah, Nilam, hi. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Nicolai, Professor Awe, team, and all participants. Thank you.
All right. Now, participants, we have two excellent speakers, and they are very expert in their area, which is digital learning. One is from the Maastricht University, of course, and the other one is from Universitas Airlangga. From Maastricht University, we have Nicolai Manie. Nicolai Manie, hi. And Ibu Yuni Sari Amalia. Hello. Ibu Yuni Sari Amalia is the one who is responsible for the e-learning in Universitas Airlangga. Now, Ibu Yuni and Nicolai Manie, the first speaker I would like to allocate to Nicolai. And Nicolai, you have 15 minutes to share your experience, your knowledge regarding digital learning in Maastricht University. 15 minutes, short but very comprehensive. Thank you. Time is yours.
Thank you for the invitation, and thank you for the strict timing. I think that's very smart. That's one of the best practices when it comes to online teaching, right? Is you have to set very clear boundaries to everything. I'm going to try to share my screen, but I don't have the rights to do so, I see. So maybe we can fix that, but I'll get going with the presentation. As Professor Heringa already indicated, and the Madam Chair as well, my colleague, Indonesian colleague, and I are introduced as experts in this field. But of course, this is a very relative term because we are in this pandemic.
Now you can share your screen.
Thank you very much. Well, I'll have a go at it.
Do you have the button there?
So, can you see it?
Excellent. Yes.
Great. All right. So as I said, I think I'm an expert by now, but the learning process has been very fast and quick, obviously, because we've been in this situation since March. My role at Maastricht University is program manager online education, which by now has sort of turned into blended education. And that means that we are trying to find a mix of things we can do on campus and make use of e-learning technology to enhance the learning experience. The nice thing, in March, we started with an entire lockdown of the higher education system in the Netherlands. And immediately we formed a crisis management team, which started which was composed of the executive board and some key stakeholders. And I was one of these people, and my assignment was, can we transform the entire university's education system within 3 days to an online education system? This seemed like a very impossible task, but it worked nonetheless. And I think the way it worked, and this is the focus on the management part, is that the decision power was very much centralized with a few people instead of what you normally do in consulting many people, consulting many stakeholders. You take time for your decisions, but this time we actually moved very quickly. And the way we were able to do this is by saying what is the absolute priority for everyone is continuity for the students. So we want our students not to incur any study delays because this will lead to not getting a diploma. This will lead to later accessing the labor market. This will also have financial consequences. So these are serious consequences. So what we have said is continuity for the students is top priority, and everything else will move out of the way. At the same time, I was appointed as program manager blended education directly under the executive board with a mandate to make everything possible and take every step that was needed to facilitate online education quickly. To do this, obviously, you cannot sit in the boardroom and discuss with managers and executives only. You actually have to go to the teachers and to the students and ask them, what do you need in order to proceed? What do you need if your classrooms are gone, if your lecture halls are gone? What actually can we do to help you on your way? So this is the first thing we did, is invite a room full of teachers and consult with students. And then we said, we think we have two main areas, education and assessment. And assessment is everything from written exams and presentations and PhD defenses and all of these things. Because we say these assessments, they lead, they have a very different legal framework, so to speak, than the education itself. They are, of course, linked to each other, but they have different legal frameworks. They have different logistics surrounding them. So we split that up into task forces. And then what we said is, let's work with a small group of people, experts in education, who are also frequently in the classroom themselves. And then what we will do is we will build a framework for all of our teachers in which they can transform their own course to an online course. And the reason we did this is that we figured out that if you buy, for instance, a Zoom license, or you open up Microsoft Teams, or you give everyone a Skype account, that's just step one of the process. But you actually need to also think about what does that mean for education, and how will I now transform my lecture into something digital? So what we did is we built all the facilities that we thought everyone needed and that teachers told us they would need. We said, do everything online if you can, and then find a way, teachers, to do this in the best way you see possible. Because as the executive board, or as a crisis management team, or as manager of a faculty or director, there is no way that we can see for 19,000 students and hundreds of different programs what the best way would be to teach. This is knowledge typically professors have and teachers have. They know how to actually teach their students. So we have given them that sort of freedom and this space. And that's what I mean with framework. We've offered them the framework to do what they think would be best in this situation. As Manu Speaker also said, there are many, and the Dean as well said that there are many pitfalls in this process, because this is a new process for all of us. Usually, if you have a university and you want to go online, you take your time, you start small. Maybe you take one course that you transform or that you add digital technology to. And this time we had to go with 4,500 staff members and 19,000 students to a fully online situation. And if you don't create this framework, we've seen that then usually in our university, it's the case that people are quite adventurous and they're very entrepreneurial, and they start figuring out things for themselves. So then they start doing whatever they think is best. And that's, of course, to a certain extent, that's fine. But there are also legal issues that we have to take into account, matters of privacy and security that we have to adhere to. So what we've done is we made enough space in this framework that we've set up to improvise and to do what you want. But we've also said, okay, so this is what needs to happen. So these are the conditions under which this education can take place. So to let everyone run free, I think that will be pitfall number one. A second challenge that we had is that there is a lot of information on how to teach online. And this amount of information kept growing, I think, almost exponentially since March. Everyone gained experience, so everyone started producing blogs and articles and even books and websites. And what we also tried to do is we tried to help our teachers to understand which technologies you can use, why you would use certain technologies, why you wouldn't. And quickly, we got the complaint from many, many teachers that they said, there is so much useful information, but there's too much information. So I don't have the time to go through the jungle of information, they called it, to find all the right information that is useful to me. So in order to fix that, what we did is we put ourselves in the mindset of a teacher who is faced with a problem. And the problem is, I have to transform my course. And we took them step by step through the process. So this is really step number one. I have a course, and I usually do 6 lectures in a lecture hall. What do I do now? And then we basically break down how you can actually do this in the digital format and what works and what doesn't work. And we do this from a didactical point of view, but also from a technological point of view. This works for the majority of teachers, obviously, but there's always going to be a group of teachers who struggles and for whom this is not very clear. So we've also installed a help desk that was available till very late in the evening, also to cater for people who have children at home, who have to take care of someone, because they typically seem to build their courses after 8 o'clock in the evening. So we had a whole support system built in place to assist teachers in transforming their courses. One other important thing, and this we sort of forgot this at the beginning, but quickly caught on to this, is that students who have bad access to internet sometimes don't even have a proper computer or tablet, don't have access to education if you make your education fully online. So this is something that we had to take up in our design, and we said, okay, so for teachers, for students who don't have proper devices or internet, we will have to open up a special isolated building with special security protocols. So if they are in the city, they can actually come and we can still let them partake in courses or exams. And in designing education online, we have now said, okay, so it must be accessible also to students who can't hear well, for instance, who have trouble speaking up. So we are now trying to find software and programs that help this by, for instance, providing subtitles or by providing summaries of what's being said. But you need to think about those students who otherwise struggle. And normally in class, you have different solutions to this. Online, you have to find other solutions. Another issue that we saw is that that we thought, well, everyone has a computer, everyone has a smartphone, so everyone knows how to use digital technology. But that does not seem to be the case everywhere. So we have to assume that teachers do not always know how to use digital technology for teaching, because what you need to do if you want to build proper online courses is you actually need to go back to what is the goal of my course, and then you start designing the course again. And this is what we thought of when we started teaching the teachers. Is we said we have to start at zero and assume you know nothing. And if you know things, then you can skip certain instructions and you can skip certain pieces of information. But we will have to make this accessible to everyone, also the ones who have no experience with doing anything online, so to speak. I think I'm still doing fine for time, and otherwise, Madam Chair, let me know. Of course, this is hopefully coming to an end, this situation, somewhere in 2021. We can only hope so. But for us, it was already time during the summer to think about what does the future of education look like? Because we have found one thing, and that is, I think, very nice to see, is that the students in the Netherlands, if you look at the surveys and the research that's being done, is they miss three things. One is seeing their friends on campus, so the whole social aspect of being somewhere together with other people. Two is they really miss being in face-to-face teaching activities, so in classes, doing assignments together, listening to the teacher and to their fellow students. And three is having some sort of structure in their day. And these are the three things that they seem to miss the most. And for us, this was very important because over the past 10 years, there have been many, many discussions all around the world in higher education about whether there was going to be a shift from on-campus education to fully online education. And that you could maybe do massive open online courses, and that this would disrupt the higher education market. But what you see now, because of this lockdown, is that it turns out that people are actually also going to university for the whole social aspect of it. And they really appreciate the social aspect and the human aspect of going to college. So what we see in the future of education is that we definitely do not want to go to a fully online university. What we want to do is we want to optimize the mix of our campus and our online resources. And someone else mentioned this before. I think this is the bright side of the coin. We have seen that there are many opportunities in teaching online. We have seen that maybe 2-hour lectures can be replaced by chopping these lectures up in smaller clips, uploading these clips, and students can learn or watch these clips when they want, at a moment that they actually prefer. And I saw in the survey that among the registrars, the participants here, that they really appreciated the fact that students could learn independently as well. And this is what you do if you enable, I think, a good mix between campus learning and online learning, is you give a little bit more independence also to your students and also to your teachers. We have called this blended education, and this is something that that we are exploring right now, if this is something that we want to do. And obviously for legal education, I see many opportunities in this field. For medical education, for instance, there will always have to be practical lab work, there have to be patient contact, there has to be a lot of things have to be on campus. But you can imagine in the social sciences that the balance might be a little bit different. And that's something that we are exploring at the moment, doing that by closely listening to our teachers, because obviously transforming everything to online is not easy. And then retransforming everything again to blend it doesn't make it a whole lot easier. So you need to support them properly. And you need to listen to your students, because if they don't want to go fully online, or they actually appreciate certain things, that's something that you have to listen to. Because in the end, these are the backbone of your entire education system. So I think my conclusion of this is this has been a very exciting time. It's been also a very difficult time, but it's been exciting in terms of the things that we've discovered that we can do in higher education. And what we must acknowledge in this process is that it's not very easy, you know. So we will keep making mistakes, and we will learn from those mistakes. But what we have tried to do is we try to put the student first and the teacher first in every decision that we make in order to move forward. And I think that's interesting. That although this pandemic and this lockdown has been fueled and accelerated the use of technology, that also the attention for the human side of education has really come to the fore. So I think that's 15 minutes. I hope I stayed within the time limits, Madam Chair, but thank you very much for this time. If there are any questions, feel free to ask them.
Yes, excellent timing, Nicolai. Indeed, it is an excellent timing. Well, Bapak Ibu sekalian, I would like to highlight a statement from Nicolai Manie that the future of education is one of them is blended learning. And yes, we also need to acknowledge that shifting from the the previous method of learning into the digital learning is a little bit difficult, and we need time to that. Now, Bapak Ibu sekalian, I would like to invite Ibu Yuni Sari Amalia as a speaker from Universitas Airlangga. And Ibu Yuni, could you please share your experience and expertise on digital learning, particularly what has been the strength point of e-learning in Universitas Airlangga, as well as the what needs to be improved.
Thank you so much, Ibu Nilam. First of all, I would like to thank to send my highest gratitude to Dr. Iman Prihandono, the Dean of the Faculty of Law at Universitas Airlangga. I would like to extend my gratitude to Dr. Radian Salma as the head of OKP, lead OKP. Also, I would like to extend and say hi to Professor Heringa. Thank you for such a wonderful and precious dialogue event today. And then I also would like to send my gratitude to Dr. Nicolai Manie for sharing his expertise on the online education, blended learning, which I have learned a lot during the sharing session. I would like to welcome and also send my gratitude to everybody who is here this afternoon, or maybe is it morning time over there? Is it evening time? So thank you very much today for inviting me. And I would like to send my highest gratitude to Dr. Nilam for introducing me, and then also such a wonderful organizing such a wonderful event. Ibu Nilam is very active in digital learning, and she is also newly appointed as the coordinator for the online learning at Universitas Airlangga. And she generously addresses me as the expert, which is I am still learning. So I am learning. So I would say not expert, but enthusiast. So I would like to share a little bit about what we have done in Universitas Airlangga, shifting from the online, from the offline to the online learning. So if you could kindly, I'm co-presenting, sharing the PowerPoint because of the internet connection. If you could share the screen, Nudia. Yeah, Nudia. Right. So here it is. Today we are dealing with the pandemic, and all of a sudden, what we have prepared before with the e-learning was the platform. But at most, at Universitas Airlangga, we were ready with the platform. And since 2017, with the establishment of PIPS at the time, Pusat Inovasi Pembelajaran dan Sertifikasi, or PIPS, or Center for Innovation in Learning and certification. Oh, sorry. And certification. And back in the in 2017, I was appointed by the Rector, the President of Universitas Airlangga, to find new methods in learning. And so board was the focus of e-learning, which was at the time was not a main focus in our learning. So, okay, next slide. Then, because of the appointment, we would like to have the e-learning to be one of the focus at Universitas Airlangga. In this presentation, so I learned that a lot of the universities and educational institutions use the word or definition or terminologies of e-learning interchangeably, or sometimes there is a distinction and sometimes it's blurry. So we have the terminologies that I've learned thus far was e-learning, online learning, some others use distance learning, and some other use digital learning. Next one. Each of them has its own similarity and also differences. So at Universitas Airlangga, we chose to use the word e-learning because it was still a baby step, moving from adding the focus on e-learning into the offline learning. With that, we have a couple of the letters from the rector. Okay, next one. Okay, this is something that we can probably skip this one to the next one. Okay. Right, next. Right. So what we've learned during the pandemic, in the beginning, we do not have just yet the letter or the law that protects or that states the rewards or that the lecturer should be doing e-learning. And in 2017, the president of Universitas Airlangga supports our movement and produced rector's letter or regulation that states that each lecturer should incorporate at least 10% of their teaching into the digital learning. So, however, during the pandemic, it all turned upside down, where we were from 2017 to 2020, we have at most about 28 to 30% of the usage in e-learning. However, in the midst of March, where we got hit with the Corona attack, so we had to move to 100% online. So then we have to prepare all the LMS for this sudden change. So here is the steps that we did. So we had at the beginning of the pandemic, and then we learned to transition, and then now we are at the first phase of the new norm era, and then we are preparing for the second phase of the new norm in the next semester. Next one. In my presentation today, I'd like to also use the word remote teaching as opposed to the online learning that was purposely designed for the online education. I've learned this because there is a distinction between the design and what we were doing or what we have been doing is preparing from the offline to online into the remote online and remote teaching. But because of the preparedness of the platform that was built since 2008, so we have Moodle based, we were transitioning quite smoothly, moving from offline to online. So I said quite smoothly. That doesn't mean we didn't have big challenges. So that said, as Dr. Iman Rehandono, also Dr. Nicolai Manie stated, there are pitfalls, challenges that we go through. We go through that as well. And one of them is the difficulties, the skills that quickly we had to adapt, and so on. Also the infrastructure. So moving from 30% to 100% of online, it is a big challenge. Next one. So as I mentioned before, the establishment of Rector's letter to conducting fully online on midterm exam was the beginning of preparation where we had to quickly adapt to the pandemic. Several steps that we did was the facilitation of Zoom. So we acquired several Zoom accounts for each faculty so that students can still interact with their teachers and not missing out too much on that face-to-face interaction. So we bringing the offline into the online teaching. We also prepare the e-learning system platform, which we have, which is Moodle based. Why Moodle? Because I think about 80% of the online users use Moodle based platform, and this is also an open source, which means it is affordable to most. Although we have to also think about the dedicated server and so on. So we have dedicated server and cloud server to actually help with the learning and also storage so that students can access their learning from everywhere at any time. And then one of the most blessing in disguise is the emergence of e-learning captains, which is Ibu Nilam. Ibu Nilam is the captain at the Faculty of Law. So because of this pandemic, we had a lot of the pearls, the diamonds, emerge to the surface because of the pandemic. Amidst the tragedy, thankfully, we have lecturers who are passionate about e-learning. So we built the IoT community, Internet of Things community, and they are there helping out, helping their hands, opening their hands at any time, doing troubleshooting, arranging the classes, also developing training programs. So together, this group of e-learning captains are helping the transitioning from offline to online. They are actually the stars of the e-learning. Next one. So then from at the end of the semester, we're moving into the transitioning period, which means we have to prepare at the time how many people are actually going to conduct their learning online, how many we have to cluster and carefully manage, think about all the details, all the health protocols that we have to do. Also, the tests that students or lecturers or staff have to do when we conduct things in hybrid or blended in the fall semester or autumn semester, or in Indonesia, ganjil dasar, meaning like odd semester. So like this semester running right now. So that said, we are moving quite densely, and because we were able to conduct with many different tools like Alma. Next one. We were able to conduct the learning through Alma, MOOC. Also, we had developed a dashboard that counted or calculated the real-time user at each faculty. Then we were able to learn how the teachers, how the lecturers are doing in their e-learning, whether the material are there, whether the interaction takes place or not, or whether the quizzes are not take place or not. So we develop a system that is very uniquely Erlanga's uniquely how do I say attached to Erlanga's needs for e-learning into idea system, which means integrated content delivery and engagement and assessment system. So we developed the core of principle of e-learning, divided into content delivery, interaction, and assessment. And we built the dashboard that measure the activities of the lecturers within these three principles. So then we needed to do that so that we can ensure the quality of the teaching online or when they conduct their remote teaching. We also, we were lucky to have started with the VR production in anatomy studies. And then we also conducted a couple of surveys to the students as well as the lecturers on their experiences in online learning, because we wanted to listen to them. Like Dr. Nilam said, it is important to listen to the students. It's important to listen to the lecturers and see what they have to say. Next one. So this is the inside or interface of the e-learning at Universitas Erlangga. So we have faculties and this can be accessed with a single sign-on, which means that we are connected to our cyber campus where our personal data or academic data also can be transferred, exported, and imported through the two platforms. Next one.
I would like to remind you about the time.
Yes, yes. Sorry about Alma. Alma is another application that we built available at Google Play Store. This is specifically after listening to the students and lecturers who actually just wanted the chat feature and not so heavy on the bandwidth. We have this platform application. We have this application. Next one. ALMA stands for Erlangga e-learning in mobile application. So this is also another website platform that we built. Actually, we use an open source, so we're just adjusting what's there in Moodle and then customize them as what we need. This is from the medical school, just an example. It's still baby step. So next one. So this is the sample of the data, whether to measure how many uses e-learning, how many uses not e-learning, because it can be Zoom, it can be Google Meet, it can be other platform, but we measure it through the e-learning. Next one. Yeah. Okay. Can you? So I hope we still have some time to have this video. It is probably about 2-3 minutes.
Di mana saja, kapan saja, dan menggunakan gadget apa saja, sekarang sudah bisa dilakukan dengan e-learning UNAIR. Dengan fitur single sign-on, seluruh platform e-learning UNAIR bisa diakses hanya dengan satu username. Dan kuliah online jarak jauh bisa dilakukan tanpa hambatan apapun. Prinsip delivery memastikan distribusi bahan ajar menjadi mudah bagi dosen dan selalu siap diakses oleh mahasiswa dalam berbagai format. Dan berbagai macam fitur interaksi yang tersedia di e-learning UNAIR memastikan kelas online jarak jauh berjalan secara optimal. E-learning UNAIR dilengkapi dengan fitur assessment yang dapat langsung dikerjakan oleh mahasiswa. Selain itu, hasil assessment juga bisa dilihat secara real time. Di balik itu semua, seluruh traffic e-learning UNAIR dimonitor dan dianalisis oleh Kapten Erlangga untuk pengembangan lebih lanjut. Dengan e-learning UNAIR, Universitas Airlangga siap menuju Smart University.
UNAIR memiliki kemudahan yaitu dapat diakses menggunakan website dan juga aplikasi Alma yang dapat diunduh di Play Store. Serta UNAIR juga didukung dengan layanan bebas kuota.
Airlangga University has advanced e-learning UNAIR. In this advanced platform, lecturers can prepare their lectures, corrections, and evaluations and provide students. Students can access these lectures and contents anytime they want.
Dengan adanya e-learning UNAIR, Alma, dan MOOCs, Universitas Airlangga siap menjadi Smart University. See you!
Dengan e-learning UNAIR, Merdeka Mengajar mudah untuk saya. Dan kegiatan saya berinteraksi dengan mahasiswa, meskipun saya seorang dokter, tetap bisa saya lakukan.
Thank you so much. That was a little video where Ibu Nilam and Dr. Boy, two captains, actually share what their thoughts about e-learning and how they conduct e-learning. Okay, next one. Okay, so these are what have been what we've conducted, student submission, fully online, midterm exam, final term exam. Also now we are thinking about the possibility of conducting a VR assessment medium. So still very a long way to go. Next one. Next one, please. Okay.
Perhaps
so one last one. Yes. because we have a very limited time. Okay, we'll leave this one. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Not yet. Okay. That one is the VR product that we have started. But as an alternative for learning. Should we do it?
Oh, okay, no, I'm sorry. All right. Thank you, Ibu Yuni, Sari, Amalia. I'm really sorry about the timing, but we really need to stick on the timing because we actually only have 1.5 hours since 3 o'clock. So meaning we have another 30 minutes for questions and answers. Okay, to make this webinar very effective, I would like to invite all the participants to give comments, asking questions, or share your ideas to all of us here in this webinar. Okay. I can see that a participant already raised his hand. Bapak Agus Naida, you can turn on your camera and turn on your microphone and ask questions to the speakers.
Well, okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. And actually, I'm so sorry I cannot turn on my camera because I'm not in the proper situation. So I only need to turn on my audio. So let me conveying my questions, especially for Nicolai. Can you hear my voice, Nicolai? Well, okay, thank you. So what I observed in this pandemic situation, mostly teacher will consider the teacher-centered approach, where the teacher are only conveying the explanation and the students just need to be a good listener. And well, actually, based on my opinion, it just makes the class feel so quiet because there is no interaction. And the students will tend to turn on their camera and also the students will tend to turn off their camera and also their audio. So we as a teacher, we don't even know whether our students sleeping or not, something like that. And on the other hand, if we focus on the freedom learning, where the teacher facilitates their students to learn by themselves, actually, it's not that easy to be implemented in the real field because there are still students who have low motivation in freedom learning. Like there are so many distractions. One of them, for example, where in this pandemic, mostly people got financial problem, so forcing the students to apply a job while they are learning in the college, something like that. So as a teacher, what we have supposed to do in order to engage the students' motivation in learning, especially during this pandemic situation. And thank you.
Hold on, Bapak Agus, hold on. Could you please mention again, because I didn't hear where you're coming from or what's your institution?
Okay, I think I forgot to mention where I'm from. Well, actually, my name is Agus Naida. I come from STKIP Alitma Surabaya, and this is my 5th semester, and my major is English Education Department. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Nicolai, I would like to invite you to answer Agus' questions directly.
Thank you, August, for your question. I think you touch on a very important point, which is, I think, the biggest challenge for teachers is how do I engage my students? How do I keep their attention? And how do I make this, what you see in front of you? So I see some of your faces, some of you are moving, I see some pictures, and I see some names. How do I engage with you? If we're with only 4 people, this is easy, but not if you're with 15 or even 50 people. So student engagement definitely difficult to do. I don't know if you are familiar with the model we use in Maastricht, but Maastricht University is known for small scale education. So what we do is we break up every big group of students into smaller groups of students. And ideally we say 15 students are in a group together. And that's a group that will work together for 8 weeks, for instance. What we have done in the pandemic is we found ways to formulate projects or questions that smaller groups of students can engage in. So then we build in Zoom, for instance, breakout rooms where we put 4 students together. We let them together for half an hour on a problem, and then they report back to each other in a plenary session. So it's these types of projects and questions and setups that we use so that it's not so easy to hide behind the camera and not do anything, but you actually have to start talking to your fellow students. And in general, I would say we have a couple of very interesting webinars online for free at Maastricht University. I can send the link to the organization so they can share it with you. These are all in English and you can watch them because these are actually, 2 of the topics are how do I talk to my students? How do I engage them? How do I make sure that I don't lose track of them? So I hope that that kind of answers your question, August.
Thank you, Nicolai. Now, I'd like to invite more participants to raise their hands. I can see, just hold on. Yep. Now Shafiri. Nahid Shafiri, you can turn
Yes.
on the microphone. Yes.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy that one of the participants of this program. I'm from Afghanistan and one of the students of the Erlanger University. But my question was about the blended education from the Mr. Nicolai. What is the blended education? And what is your prediction about the post? How will be e-learning? Will it be increase or decrease, or will it be the same? Thank you very much.
Okay. Another question for Nicolai. Yes, Nicolai, you can answer it.
Yes, thank you very much for your question, Nahid. What we mean by blended education, this is a e-learning, hybrid learning, blended education. And what we're seeing now is there's also now scientific articles appearing on what are those definitions and what are the differences. Blended education for Maastricht University, so real life teaching with digital means. And to find an optimal mix between the two, that's blended education. You go somewhere to a lab, but then at home you watch a lecture. You have an online learning management system, but you also participate in Zooms, but then you meet with teachers for a meeting. That's a form of blended education. And as I said in my talk, I think for the social sciences, so economics, psychology, legal, these sort of types of education, I think there's a different balance in blended than there is for the more applied sciences. So things where you would think about biomedical sciences, biology, health sciences, medicine, where you actually have to do things in a laboratory. That will obviously look different, because at some point you have to get your hands into the laboratory, and you can't do this all online. So I think the future of education in my country, at least, and I think this differs very much per country and per region where you're in, will not be fully online. I think it will go in a direction where we try to find a blend where you can have students engage online, but they definitely need to be there physically to do things on campus as well. And to me, I think that's the interesting part of education. At the same time, I also think you could actually make online content available to people in areas that do not have easy access to higher education, because you produce so much content now in terms of lectures and clips and these sort of things, that you could make these available like they are already available on TED Talk or YouTube or these sort of things, that you can actually, as a university, you can share some of those resources and make them accessible to more people. That will be my short answer to your question, Nahid.
Okay, thank you, Nicolai. Now, another questions from participants, Ibu Kusrianti. Ibu Kusrianti, would you please turn on your camera and microphone, if you like?
Okay, thank you, Nilam. My name is Kusrianti from Law Faculty of Law, Universitas Erlangga. My question is, maybe Bu Yuni or Nicolai can answer this question. As a lecturer, actually, when we teach online, we speak with camera, right? We speak with our laptop. The problem that I'm facing was how to control the big classes. I have a class with 74 or 60 to 74 students. So this is difficult because we have like scarcity for the lecture to teach that subject. So I have to handle and control the big. Maybe you have experience how to handle the big class. a small class is no problem because we can speak literally with individual student. But the big class is another challenge for us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Gusrianti, for your questions. I think the best person to answer this is Ibu Yuni Sari Amalia. Ibu Yuni, silakan.
Thank you so much for the question, Ibu Gusrianti. I really appreciate it. So basically, maybe one of the strategies that we can apply is conducting the flipped learning, where we divide the type of learning into synchronous or asynchronous, meaning that all the materials have to be prepared ahead of a time, and then give the students a chance to be exposed with the material ahead of a time. And then when we come in and greet them so that they're not having the fatigueness, doing a lot of time online, we focus on the meeting with the students to provide feedback. And in Zoom, as Dr. Nicolai Manie stated, we can do breakout rooms, giving them tasks like GIST questions, prepare questions so that students can be discussing certain case studies or problems to solve within smaller groups online, and then they can go back into the main room to present their findings, and then have more discussion as a whole. So maybe a couple of strategies can be applied toward handling big classes. It is not easy, super not easy managing huge classes. And I'm feeling you, when you have to teach like 50 people, 80 people, what do you do? So those are a couple of small steps that I try to apply. So dividing the time into synchronous and asynchronous response, and then putting into small groups, or then also having the discussion more as a providing feedback to students when we can do also, so that we know that the students are learning and they're reviewing, but more in a fun way, or something like that. We could do menti.com. There are a couple of tools online that are available for free, and the captains, Erlangga captains, can help you also set up and making things more interactive, maybe something like that. Maybe a couple of things that I could share. Do I answer your questions, Ibu? Yeah, I believe so.
Thank you.
Yeah, I noticed that Ibu Yuni mentioned briefly about online meeting fatigue. So I have a question from from one of the participants, Nudia Mila. She asked, what are the strategies to avoid Zoom fatigue when doing online learning? Well, perhaps Ibu Yuni Sari Amalia can answer that.
Thank you so much, Ibu Nilam. Yes. Well, when I do a lot of the meetings, well, now it's my personal, my family life lines getting really blurred. I could be like online for 10, 14 hours. Oh my God. So I can feel what my students are feeling when they're learning a lot of the time. So some of the strategies that I actually learn from other teachers are doing the brain break, meaning that maybe once in a while we would just like stand up and then do something. Maybe I will just show it to you. Everybody stand up now. Oh, there. And just like do a little crazy move, just to help our movement, concentrating, better move. Everybody is doing it. If the lecturer is doing it, students doing it, even just for 10 seconds, it will be just like an ice break, and then we're ready for something new. So we get to experience something that we haven't done before. Well, it is a trial and error. I'm full of myself in front of the camera a lot, all the time. So it's just one of those things, you know, we just have to try and then see what works the best for our students so as to avoid the Zoom fatigue. Dr. Nilam.
Yeah, and thank you for answering that questions. Now, Bapak Ibu participants, perhaps there are some of you who feels a little bit reluctant to turn on your microphone and ask directly to the speakers. You can also type the questions in the chat box, and then I will read it out to the speakers so that the speakers can answer it. Meanwhile, I can see that there are two participants who already raised their hands. First, I would like to give an opportunity to Ibu Jani Purnawanti to ask questions directly to the speakers. Ibu Jani?
Thank you so much, Bu Nilam. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, perfectly.
Thank you so much. Yes, I will address my question to Bu Yuni and Nicolai. So actually, what I'm thinking so far for this two-term semester regarding online system. So with all my respect to the technology that we put and all effort that we provide to students to provide the online learning, but inside my heart, I'm thinking that what we need to prepare most is to prepare the student themselves, because they are the subject of this learning. So don't put so much, yes, of course, because we are lecturers, so our responsibility is provide them with as complete as possible the teaching material, and we also convey our best effort to deliver the message. But one thing that must be, we also need to teach our students is the responsibility to study is on them, not only on us. So what I feel is like student is placed as a subject, not as an object. Student is still placed as an object in this teaching, but not as a subject. So I think when we also build in the consciousness inside the student that everything that we provide for you is only will get benefit and will do good if you realize yourself that the subject of learning is you. So however, how poor we prepare our teaching material, but when the student understand that the responsibility is on them, so they will have a courage and they will have an eagerness to deep more. So I think I also address what Bu Anti said, that we cannot control everything. So we only control our laptop. So what happened behind the laptop, we cannot touch that. So I think one thing we need to think about our curriculum. So how we build in understanding and awareness and raise, you know, that because we don't know when we will finish this pandemic. And I think after pandemic, we can conquer the pandemic. So our life is changed for sure. So I think we need to teach our students more on how they adopt the new learning method. So life will not go back to the past time. So the next future is we are learning using online. So it is not about the technology. Technology for me is if we train people, we train our students like one month doing the technology, they can adapt well. But installing the infrastructure inside their brain is more important. So I think education director also need to think how to transform the curriculum and insert the aspect that the think the understanding on the student is much more important. So I think Airlangga also implement the student-centered learning. I think that thing is also a very important and play a major role. So we need to put the student as a subject of learning.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I need the response from Nicolai and Sari about what.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, sure. Thank you. Now, I would like. That's really indeed a very good comment and idea from you, Ibu Jani. Now, I would like to first give an opportunity to Nicolai to respond to Ibu Jani.
Thank you very much. I think I agree 100% with what you say. So I'll keep it very short. I think this is the case that you have to teach students, also teach them what studying is and what being a student is. And what also needs to be embedded in curricula is learning how to learn or learning how to study. And I would say technology is not even if technology wouldn't exist, this is still a task for university, for any professor, for any teacher, to make the students aware of their own responsibilities, what they're doing in the class, what they're learning, and how their relation is to the outside world as a student. So yes, 100% agree with you. And maybe we need to focus a little bit more on that, because the focus is continuously on technology. But you are right. Yep.
Yeah, agree with that. Ibu Yuni?
Yeah, very short. I also totally agree with Ibu Yani, because critical thinking, be it offline or online, or especially right now where everything you see in nanosecond, you get a lot more information, all the hooks and everything. The literacy for our students, awareness is very, very important. So the time right now, it's the time to prepare our students to be way more critical thinker than ever before. So thank you.
Okay, now before I invite Ibu Indah Amalia to ask question directly, I would like to look at the chat box. Ibu Ayu Wulandari asked, what should we do to increase students' motivation? Where now I am teaching junior and high school students, and in this pandemic, there are some students who prefer offline class rather than online class. Yeah, so yeah, it's about students' motivations. Now, perhaps Ibu Yuni can answer this question.
The students' motivation?
Yeah, students' motivations, and some of them prefer to do online rather than offline. Who prefer offline rather than online?
Okay. Yeah, it is like personal preference of the students. They can choose what they like most, online or offline, or not to choose. Actually, to blend them, as Dr. Nicolai Manie said, you can have the both of the worlds mixed or blended together. So why not? You know, so of course, some of the things we miss in offline, you cannot beat humans' interaction, but when it's not safe, then online is the best bet. So then we have to make the most use of the online learning. Of course, it is a student's freedom to choose what they prefer, but it is our job to actually facilitate the learning, be it offline or online or blended, so that students can have the best learning experience.
Okay, good. Thank you, Ibu Yunisari Amalia. I'm pretty sorry that now we already at 4:25, and we already have 5 more minutes left. I'm really sorry that I can still see some of the participants raising their hands and some of them asking on the chat box, but I'm pretty sorry we are running out of time. But before we close our session, I would like to invite Professor Heringa to give his comments and perhaps directly to the closing remark as well. Professor Heringa, time's yours.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. That's a lot you ask for me because I think I only have a tiny comment and I'd like to hear the response from the speakers. There was in the comments that were registered before you all registered for this event, there was what struck me from the comments was that many said it will change the role of the teacher and it will increase the independence of the students. And I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think we also will have to be aware, and that relates to the question that was asked by a professor who said, I have 75 students. How do I engage them online? And I think what we have to do is change our thinking about how we teach. We have to be aware that we designed the way we taught in pre-corona times, so in times when we could teach in person, and now we have to teach blended or fully online. That basically means we have to rethink how we teach, what we do. If we have 75 students and we have limited time, then we cannot simply offer them a class for 75 students. That's not going to work. So what we have to do is maybe offer video clips, or we offer assignments which they have to present, or we offer them breakout rooms, or we split a group of 75 students in small groups of 15 or so students with which we engage maybe during only 30 minutes or 45 minutes, so we can have several groups consecutively, or we have other activities which we do with them online, or we have a Q&A session where they can ask questions. So there are many ways and means. I think we have to tailor our courses, and I think we have to work on redesigning the courses and taking into account that many students will become more independent learners, but also that we'll have to work with students that cannot cope with the new system. We have to find ways and means to also involve them, and that we cannot simply copy paste the way we have been offering teaching. We have been offering learning exercises the way we did. There was a comment of a person who said, how can I teach procedural law in e-learning times? I think we can, and we're trying to work on an e-moot court. Maybe e-courts will also be online in the future, so we should prepare our students maybe for that future. So I think there are many creative ways to take the best of these times. And I thank very much. I'd like to thank you, Madam Chair. I'd also like to thank the speakers and those who participated. It's very interesting. We sort of ran out of time. Time was way too short for such an important event. So we should do it again in the near future, I think, and then work on the basis of what we have discussed today. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Heringa. Thank you very much to Nicolai and Manie, who already joined our webinar today as the speaker, and Ibu Yuni Amalia as the speaker from Universitas Airlangga. And also, thanks to all of you who participate actively in this webinar. And also your comments is really important to us. We will build something out of it. We will review our curriculum and the way how we teach using the online method based on your comments as well. Thank you. And I will see you on our Lead OKP talks in the near future. Bye.
Thank you, Professor Awe. Thank you, Nicolai.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Prof.
Everyone. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, everyone. Assalamualaikum.